It is true that we have a leadership bankruptcy as a nation, in government, in our religious institution. Hi, welcome to yet another exciting program, I Can, Conversations with David Molapo. Today we are blessed to have a powerful leader who happens to be a woman leader. And we're going to learn and glean wisdom of nuggets from her. There she is. Sis Nomazwe ninjani mama?
Siyaphila dokotela kunjani?
Did I pronounce it right, Nomazwe?
Nomazwe.
Nomazwe.
Umntwana wasemazweni. Yeah.
Mother of nations.
Oh yes.
Okay. Mama, who is the lady Nomazwe?
Nomazwe Ntlokane is a mother of 3 girls. Born in Alex, grew up in Soweto.
Auswakokasi.
So, I actually multitask. I am doing a number of things. I have worked now for the Gauteng provincial government for about 21 years. Previously, I've worked for the municipality, which is the city of Johannesburg. And I'm actually in the communication space. I think I can really call myself a communications practitioner.
Awesome.
And I think in the years that I've worked for government, the one thing that I've been doing the most in the number of years that I've been there is really to speak on behalf of the department and on behalf of some political principals. I was a spokesperson for MEC Krisi, a spokesperson for MEC Montli Kukubele. Yes. So yeah, it's been that journey, an exciting one.
No, it's a gift. I carry Bible, your gift will make room for you. But because growing up in Alex, surely you had some difficulties growing up in the so-called apartheid era. How did you overcome them?
Yeah, the most exciting one is that where God is 16th June 1976. At home, where they had already moved to Sinawane, which is where I really grew up. So we were at school there. And at the time when the students were marching, they really more classing. So all we saw on Potchefstroom Road was children running, the police cars, and I was seeing some of the cars for the first time in 1976. And we were literally taken out of the class. We couldn't finish the Lord's Prayer because now the students were already there protesting. We were quickly moved out of class. Our parents came rushing to fetch us, and we were running along Potchefstroom Road because at that time it was guns all over, police cars running. And at that, because I was not that old, I don't want to expose my age, by the way.
No, we say mature. We don't say old.
Yes,
we say mature.
Mature.
Yes.
So at the time, one didn't really understand what was going on, but it's only when we got home, when we actually heard that no, Kubi, where is students, Zealwa apa sitting Bantu education, pants ngayo. So one grew up really in those tough years. I mean, my parents were just ordinary people. My father was working for the municipality. My mom was actually at some point a sales lady, and she then worked for Patco. Life
But this program is obviously shown during this youth month.
Yes.
During that time, Mama, people like you, even as young ladies, you already had those leadership qualities. Relakakai with the current generation.
From Goskolo, from Go High. The way we grew up, I must tell you, we thought our parents didn't like us. As a girl, I used to grow up, my parents would tell me that in Tombazana again, Emva go 6. That's number one. 2, at school, the issue of respect was not negotiable. The issue of paying attention to our studies was our priority. And at school, I was actually part of the debating team. And I would actually get very sad if my team was beaten. So I think that is where one even started with the whole issues on engaging and actually communicating, because at that level I began to appreciate the importance of communication, the importance of understanding and appreciating other people's views, that it is not about yourself only, but you also need to appreciate what the next person is coming up with. So yes, those were not easy days, but I really believe that for young women today, what is critical is self-discipline. And really, you know, there is this notion that because I'm young, my parents have matured, then they don't know things. You see, so I feel that I mean, because ngikula manje, ngifikile and I know better, that doesn't work. Because as a young woman, you still need to be shaped by the wisdom of those who have been there before you. Remember, they've done all the things that we are doing today.
True.
I mean, we've had fun as young girls.
Sure.
So, I mean, it is therefore not correct for a young woman today to say, because those are the challenges that we continue to face as women. To say, how do we then impart this knowledge? How do we impart the wisdom to our young women today, so that as they grow, they are also they grow up and become responsible leaders, responsible women, understanding that everything that they do is not just about themselves. And by the way, what I was also taught is the fact that whenever I go out, somebody is able to understand where my background and where I come from, based on how I engage and interact with other people, based on how I portray myself out there. So it's our children, the minute they begin to appreciate the fact that they are actually the ambassadors of their own families, that is the moment they will begin to appreciate the fact that how I act outside impacts on my own family.
How I act out. We are having a wonderful lesson from UCC Nomazwe, the mother of nation. We spoke about the lady. When we come back, we want to talk about the leadership lessons from her life, her political engagement, and then the last segment we'll find out what she is currently doing. So let's be back after these messages. And we are back with I Can Conversations with David Molapo. We are honored today to have a very fruitful, I didn't say busy, a fruitful lady, a leader, which is Nomazwe. We found out her background, Alex. Now let's talk about leadership lessons. As umama, what life leadership lessons can you share with us?
Do you know how many things I do?
Maybe just a couple of ones. Yeah.
One, I am a reverend.
You are a mfundisi.
Ndingumfundisi webandla.
I say hallelujah.
Amen. Yes.
Or which church I may ask, or which denomination?
General Ethiopian Methodist Church.
Fantastic.
Yes. So I actually was ordained as umfundisi at a very young age. Thank you very much.
So they could see the leadership quality in you.
Yes.
And then it's not only just political, economic, it's spiritual leadership, which is the highest form of leadership that you can be called to.
Most definitely.
Wow.
I think that's where I draw my strength from. Because even when times are tough in other areas of my life, I always draw strength from my spiritual part of leadership. So yes, you know, everything just happened so fast. When I joined the church, kwakunobaba ubishop, may his soul rest in peace. Ubaba yonke samtheni ngokutata ungubeni. Yes, so he used to like me so much because I would always bring in this innovation, esontweni, introducing new things, and he would embrace those things. You know, unlike today, where in some churches, when you come and join the church as
by
a young person,
they don't care.
Yes, but Kgale
Umthole
rona
la,
re le mo,
uzongishiya
o
la.
thola la, sina
O
20
tla re
years
shiya mo,
sikule nkonzo. You see,
eh.
so I was able to introduce some innovation in the church, and all those things were embraced. I started off by being a secretary general of the church. And I was calling the shots, Baba.
No, SG, they ran the place. We know
As she
that.
ran the
Yeah,
place. So
yeah.
I once ran the place. So yeah, and I grew up. Namhlanje ndingumfundisi webandla, responsible for a branch eSoweto. Ndinebandla literally endiliholayo, and it is quite an exciting one.
Now talk about Ibandla in the current contemporary challenges, the COVID. How have you survived during this time?
You know, it has been very interesting. I like you, Dogotel. Ours is not a charismatic church. Aslamali. So we really had to come up with some innovation, especially during your level 5 and level 4. So I really felt that I could not let abantwana bakaNkulunkulu to suffer. Bangatholi ukudla komphefumulo nokudla kamoya.
But he says, Mama, uJesu uthi take care of the poor and the orphans.
Yes.
And I know you're a politician, but he never said government must do that. It is the role. So I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
So on the second level, the leadership lesson then from the political thing. Politics is becoming rough. How are you surviving? I know you said your strength and your anchor, uNkulunkulu. But in the political space, I mean, you've done from the city all the way to the top level. How are you surviving as a leader in this political quagmire?
Sure. It's an interesting one. I grew up being a shop steward. Kumaspala, leader, SAMU, South African Municipal Workers Union. And in 1999, 96, we established what was called SAMU Women's Forum. And I was the first chairperson. It was launched at the City Hall.
So the leadership vele isegazini.
Isegazini lento.
And awi apply langa, awi tenderanga, awi it's a kimpho ya Mudimu.
Kimpo ya Mudimu.
So being the chairperson and then
being very young, by the way, leading women, I was advocating for women issues within the city of Johannesburg.
Yes.
And coincidentally, that time, it's when COSATU was busy with negotiating for changes.
I remember that, yes.
Especially when it comes to issues around women, where we were advocating for all employers, even municipalities, to have at least some necessary spaces within their workplaces so that women during lunchtime can go and take care of their babies. And one other thing that we were busy with at the time was the extension of maternity leave. Remember, this thing of maternity leave didn't just the Nansiga. It's one of the gains that we had at the time, because now women can actually go for about 3 to 4 months and be able to raise their young ones. So during those times, I was actually the chairperson of the SAMU women's structure. And yes, I am now a secretary of a branch. I want Nansiga, I won't say where.
Yes, I understand.
But it is very tough, because now I have to balance the family needs. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm everything at home. I am a leader at church. In my own space, I also am active in politics. I have been a secretary of the branch for a number of years. At some point, I decided, no, I must rest now. But with the previous elections in my branch, they said, no, we want you back.
And you know why they say want you back? Because when you are competent, when you are an efficient leader, people want, because they can trust you and you are reliable. Particularly during these tough times, they need a woman leader who's reliable.
Indeed.
The last one before we do the wrap up, as a mother of 3 beautiful daughters, what do you tell your daughters?
Sure. I tell my daughters that life is what you make out of it. Humble yourself so that you may be raised at the right time. I tell my daughters that everyone that you meet in the streets is made in the image of God. Don't look at the next person and think they are nothing because you think that right now where you are better. So I think the issue of respect, the issue of being humble is very important in how we raise our young girls. By the way, I'm a brand new grandmother.
Ugogo.
Hey,
Ah.
ubafowethu.
Ugogo
Ngugogo
Nomazwe.
kasibona kuhle bantu.
Praise
But
God. Thank God for
yes,
that.
I think it's very important how we raise our young ones. They must be they must be independent. The self of independence actually allows them to grow.
True.
Because the minute they actually grow up knowing that faneke ngishade ngibe nendoda izongithengela indlu izongithengela imoto, then they are stifling their own progress in life. We know that marriage yinto enhle kuNkulunkulu, yisipho sikaThixo eso. It's not something that you just get.
Sure.
You see, but if it happens, it does happen.
Yes,
If
but
it doesn't happen, then a woman must continue working
we'll be
hard.
back up there. We'll be back, Mama. We're still getting some wisdom from Ukoko, leader, woman leader, which is Nomazwe. When we come back with the final session, we're going to ask some hard questions on gender-based violence, and then what she's doing in the department, the challenges and how she overcame them before she gives us words of wisdom. So let's be back after these messages. We are back. I Can Conversations with Dr. David Molapo. I feel so honored to have this multi-talented woman who's Sisi, and we found out not only Sisi, Umama, Ugogo, Nomazwe. Ma'am, thanks so much for the wonderful insight. Now let's go for some heavy stuff. Gender-based violence. It's a serious scourge in this country. What would you say to the people watching this program today about gender-based violence?
Yeah, you know, yesterday I was facilitating a dialogue of senior managers, women at work. We were discussing about gender-based violence. We even had one of the survivors of this gender-based violence. It's a serious sketch, and I must say that, you know, one of the things that I learned yesterday is that it doesn't have to be physical in order for it to be acknowledged as gender-based violence. Some women are suffering in silence. Emotional abuse, financial, and all these things. So what I learned yesterday is that the more women decide to keep quiet about this thing and not act about it, and say, ngila, ngizofela la, ngoba phela sengihlalele nje ingane zami, it doesn't help. Because what happens is that inside those women bayalimala. We've got one of the ladies, that speaker, I wish one day you can have an interview with that lady. She is a survivor of gender-based violence. But what then happened is that she said 20% of abuse, of this abuse, was physical, but 80% was emotional. And through that, she then developed some disorder, which is an emotional disorder. And at the end, she said even one of her hands is not working properly. So I think before it took on are the days where abo baba bebazi ukuthi ukuze umama mamele kungcono ngimshaye. And then nathi bo mama, sometimes, you know, we have really even got into a situation where you even find yourself guilty for something you have not done, and end up even saying, "Ay, ngiyaxolisa, for the sake of peace, kungcono ngithi ngiyaxolisa." Those days are gone. This gender-based violence is serious.
Let me commit publicly, Guti, definitely after the show, you'll give me the number of that lady. And thanks for that thing there. The second thing, Mama, what are you currently doing now? Which department are you working at and for?
I am currently the head of communications in the Gauteng Department of Sport, Arts, Culture and Recreation. I am also the spokesperson of the department. It's one of the most challenging jobs, because if the department is not appearing in the news, then I'm
responsible,
and sebenzi. So I must always make it a point that the good work that my own department does is out there in the media, and people of Gauteng are aware about the work, and they are not just aware, they are able to participate in those programs that the department does from time to time. As a department, we are responsible for the hosting of all the national days. That is one of the things that keep us very busy. But of course, there are other things that through our political principles, our MEC now, MEC Mbadihlope, is having a number of flagship programs that we are driving in communities. One of those is the Anyani Wellness Program, which is about ensuring that we keep the people of Gauteng active and work together with health in reducing their bill, because the minute people become active, they are not susceptible to the lifestyle diseases such as high, you see. So we want people to be active through the Anyani Wellness Program. There are issues of market access, where we are working together with various artists and crafters in ensuring that the work that they do is also able to find expression, not just nationally, but also continentally and also internationally. So we are also working very hard.
And for the Youth
space.
Month, what are you doing for the youth as a department?
That is an interesting one. We are working together with some other Gauteng provincial departments. It's about 1 million as well. To actually, in fact, there are a number of programs. We'll be having some seminars, webinars, where we'll be talking about youth issues of youth development, issues around youth entrepreneurship. But also, I think one other interesting thing is that the department is now working hard in ensuring that the transformation of the heritage landscape. When you go to the union buildings today, there is a man who is riding a horse. Some people don't even know who that man is. And these are people that sometimes you just go and even pose next to that statue. And some of these statues, I think what we are calling them now is that they are actually statues of disgrace. Because some of those people that are riding those high horses were part of our oppression.
Were the perpetrators of
the evil system. So what we are now doing as a department, working together with Professor Pitikandul, is that we will now be putting up plaques next to these statues. We are not necessarily going to remove them, but they will remain there. But we will now be able to tell a story about this particular person, because the statues are just there, but people don't know what these people actually did. So over and above that, we are going to be putting up 8 giant statues across the province of people who have played a significant role in our liberation for democrats. Because what is important is that we are where we are today because of the selfless sacrifices of ordinary men and women.
Now, with that thought, Mama, for 1 minute, with that thought,
yes,
we are faced with many storms. And I want you just for 1 minute to look straight in the camera. Konumuntu maybe who is a young person, a young lady, a young man, they're depressed, they're down. What did you say to them? This now I want to kick in, Fundisi manje. Pastor Nomazwe, just talk to them just for a minute or so.
The book of Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Those plans are to prosper you." And iplan uNkulunkulu analo ngathi sisonke wena muntu omusha la ukona njengamanje, even you who have taken a decision to say, I am going to commit suicide, just know that our God is there. He is watching over you. And please do not lose hope. I know that most of young people today are frustrated because they are unemployed. Some young people are graduates. They are sitting at home without work. But please don't throw in the towel. Just go out there and know that through our living God, your circumstances are going to change right now in the mighty name of Jesus. And I know that through God, your situation will be turned around. I know that even where you are, even your friends are making a mockery out of you because of your own circumstances. You are unable to wear those labels, that fashion. You are unable to go to the places where everyone everyone else goes because of your own circumstances. But you know what? Where you are today, it is not your destination. Rise up, never quit, because this man up there is watching over you. He has good plans for all of us. One day, we will all be singing hallelujah, because your dreams will have come true. Now is the time.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Pastor Nomazwe. Forget the mother, the Goko side. This was a preacher speaking. So, Mama, thanks so much for your time. And we're going to be sure that people get this wonderful message. We need to know more about the positive things that you're doing. But today, thank you for blessing us. You might be faced with a storm, but remember, do not calm the storm. Calm yourself, because the storm will pass. Yes. I can do my part. You can do your part, which is Nomazwe, Pastor Nomazwe. All of us can make it happen. So stay safe during this time. Until next week, God bless.